My career was, well, very short. The only claim to fame I ever had, I faced the great Nolan Ryan in spring training. He was a pitcher for the California Angels. He threw a high, tight fastball that actually drilled me in my helmet, cracked the helmet, knocked me unconscious. Some of you laugh. I was knocked out. They came to me. They took me to the hospital. X-rays taken on my head. The only headline I ever received. The next day, some creative writer gives me these headlines. X-rays on Cassis's head reveal nothing. Being with the Chicago Bears for the past 12 years has been rather interesting. As a football team in the National Football League, we had an interesting coach by the name of Mike Ditka many years ago. Before every game, Mike Ditka used to pick somebody in the team, ask them to lead us in what he called a spirit of unity prayer, which was the Lord's Prayer. He asked all players of different faiths if this was acceptable. They said yes. Well, in 1985, he looked at a rookie. His name was William Perry. This country dubbed him the refrigerator because of his size. Mike Ditka, the coach, looked at William and said, William, you're the man. You lead us in the Lord's Prayer. We take the field when I'm done talking. And so now he's walking back and forth, giving his little pregame talk. I am in the back of the room with our quarterback, Jim McMahon. Kind of a crazy individual. He leans over to me. He whispers in my ear. He goes, John. He said, look at William. He doesn't know the Lord's Prayer, man. I said, sure he does. He goes, no. He's sweating. He's moving. He doesn't know it. I'm telling you, he doesn't know it. I looked at him. I said, Jim, he'll do fine. Just relax. He'll do fine. He leans over. He whispers. He goes, I'll bet you $20 he doesn't know the Lord's Prayer. Can't believe him. So I finally, just to keep him quiet, said, all right, you're on. $20. He knows the Lord's Prayer. We are now betting on the Lord's Prayer. We get done betting. Ditka gets done talking. He looks right at William Perry. He says, William, you're the man. Lead us in the Lord's Prayer. Everybody bows. It gets real quiet. And William prayed this prayer. Now I lay me down to sleep. The entire place burst into laughter. We were never more loose before a game. Of course, the meeting was over with, and Jim McMahon came up to me and handed me a $20 bill. He said, here, John, I didn't know he knew the Lord's Prayer, man. Benton and Bowles did a study once. They asked people, what do you most admire in other people? Top 3 categories came out to be warmth, honesty, and a sense of humor. Are you warm and approachable? You better be in what you do. Is there honesty and integrity about you as a person? Alexander Pope said an honest person is the noblest work of God. And a sense of humor, can you laugh at yourself? Going through Toronto about a few years ago, I went through and I had some tapes and stuff, and there was a long delay, and customs officer looked at me. He was great. He said, welcome to Canada, no big deal. Just a little bump in the road, have you out of here in no time at all. He said, while you're waiting, I'm going to tell you a story that happened to me. Guy comes through here, asks me, does he have anything to declare? Big guy. Got a little boy with him. Guy goes, no. Bring across cigarettes? No. Booze? No. Camera film? No. Customs officer said at that point, the little boy looked at him and said, but he's getting warmer, huh, Daddy? A little creativity there, honesty, integrity.
What is it about this thing? You know, this authenticity, to be genuine, to be real, to be approachable. That's how we build relationships. That's how we build customers. Trust is the emotional glue that binds people together. I said that 2 years ago, but it's still true. It's an old school thought. Trust is emotional glue. It binds people together. So you don't break trust. You don't break it at home. You don't break it at work. You're partners. There's a uniqueness about that. That's the authenticity about a person, the integrity, the genuineness, and it stays strong. Keith Bell wrote a book, Winning Isn't Normal. He said, if you do what everybody else does, you're doing the normal thing, and you will not win. She was 90 years old. She was going to make her first plane trip, L.A. to Orlando. One of the best illustrations I've ever heard on customer service. There was a dispute over her will. The husband had died in his 90s, and she was 90, and family basically abandoned her, what little family she had left. She called Delta Airlines, and she got an agent, just an agent. And this guy listened to her apprehension, her nervousness, because she had to fly. She had never done it before. Such a long trip. What did she do? He listened to her. He calmed her down. He told her exactly what to do. And then he booked her on a flight from L.A. to Orlando. And then he did something unprecedented. He went the extra mile. He books himself. He books himself on the same flight. And he accompanies this 90-year-old woman from L.A. to Orlando. And it was his day off. The extra mile. Indianapolis, Indiana, 5 kids line up for a race. Special Olympics. If you've ever been to Special Olympics, you're going to love them because they're great. Kid in the middle was Wally Robenshaw. The whole story was told in Sports Illustrated. He's just a young kid and at the Special Olympics, and he's nervous and he's fidgeting and he's looking at his competitors. They're lined up for a 50-meter run right on the track, and he's checking everybody out, fidgeting. Suddenly, Wally looks up into the sky, looks at the clouds, goes completely relaxed, looking up at the clouds. The other kids, they're in their lanes, and they're fidgeting, and they're nervous, too, and they look at the kid in the middle, looking up in the sky. They all start looking up in the sky. Now you got 5 kids who are on the lane of the track, 50-meter run, are all staring up at the sky. The adults come by, the supervisors. Unusual. They all start looking up in the sky. Sports Illustrated said it went like a wave through the entire stadium. 5,000 people participate, spectators. Everybody stopped what they're doing, and everybody started looking up at the sky. Nobody had any idea what they were looking for. So you talk about the power of one. This is one right there. And then Wally, he was done looking up at the sky. He was done. And Wally just kind of looked straight ahead. Now stay with me. He caught the eye of the starter of the race, and somehow, a little confusion in communication, the starter shoots the gun for the start of the race, and Wally tears off down the track.